Tulane experts provided valuable insight in the wake of Hurricane Harvey. That leads this edition of Tulane News and Review. President Emeritus of Tulane, Scott Cowen, appeared on CNBC to talk about rebuilding efforts following Katrina and how the recovery following Hurricane Harvey is unfolding.
What they're going through mentally, it's hard to describe unless you've been through it.
Historian Andy Horowitz had a perspective piece in the Washington Post. He was also quoted by the New York Times and Time magazine. Doug Harris, director of the Education Research Alliance, was quoted in the New York Times about Harvey's impact on schools. He also talked with Minnesota Public Radio about school vouchers.
What I was writing about wasn't just about charter schools in Detroit. It was a much larger look at the range of views she has on vouchers and charter schools.
CNBC reached out to Tulane history professor Walter Isaacson to talk about FEMA's response in Katrina versus Harvey.
Every storm is different, and unfortunately our policy responses is, well, let's close the barn door of the last storm we had, as opposed to figuring out what are we going to do in general to improve our country's infrastructure to deal with this problem.
Isaacson also had an opinion piece in the Washington Post about how Americans can all help rebuild Houston. Dean Pierre Bukens and Professor and Dr. Maureen Lichtveld of the School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine both lent their expertise to reporters covering Harvey. Bukens was quoted by ABC News and the New York Times, while Lichtveld spoke with The Hill. School of Business professor Eric Smith talked with the New York Times and Bloomberg about Harvey's impact on the Gulf Coast's energy facilities. In other news, political scientist Miria Holman co-authored a column in the Washington Post about how campaign attacks hurt women candidates more than men. The Washington Times featured a new study on river diversions by researchers Alex Kolker and Rita Amir. Venezuelan expert David Smile talked to the New York Times and ABC News. Also from the School of Liberal Arts, Jesmyn authored a new book that's earning rave reviews by the New York Times, Washington Post, Time magazine, and Mother Jones. And visiting professor of creative writing Bernice McFadden spoke with NBC News about her career and upcoming book. That's all for this wrap-up of Tulane News and Review. Thanks for watching.